I didn't do that. Just, in case she shows up dead with a mushroom in her mouth, it wasn't me.
Chris told me to show up with 4 books for Nonfiction November, and it was a hard choice, as you can see.
Indeed.
I'm really a rule follower, which is funny. So apparently books are where I bend the rules.
That is a good place to do it.
I was going to say, seems okay.
Well, good morning, everyone, and happy Friday.
We are the Book Cougars.
2 middle-aged women on the hunt for a good read.
Have you ever said that?
I don't think I have.
We're bending all kinds of rules today. I'm Emily.
And I'm Chris.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome to our channel.
Yes. We're doing Friday reads.
Yes.
But we're doing a Nonfiction November version.
Did you bring the book you're currently reading?
I did.
Oh, good. I did too. Do you want to start with that?
Sure. Okay. Oh, we have a helicopter going by.
We've been having a lot of helicopters in the area.
I think they're checking out the train tracks for debris.
Yeah.
Before
they've been doing a lot of repair too on the train lines.
Yeah.
Riveting conversation here for all of you book lovers.
So the book that I'm currently reading is Soil by Camille Dungy. And there we have our thumbs up again. We got to figure that out. So this is a memoir about Claire moving to Fort Collins, Colorado. She is a Black woman. She moved with her family, her husband and her daughter. And this neighborhood in Fort Collins is it's a suburb and it's very white. And so she decides that she wants to grow a garden in her home. Not only is the suburb white, but there's lots of homeowners association rules about what you can do with your yard. Mm-hmm. So it's her exploration of facing that and also pushing back and growing a garden in her yard. Mm-hmm. And I started it both as an ebook and as an audiobook, and she narrates. And this is also the book club pick for Catherine May's book club, the author Catherine May, and there'll be a conversation about it next week, which I'm really excited about. If you are part of her Substack, you can join that conversation.
Very cool.
Yeah, and it has
a
beautiful cover, doesn't it? Yeah.
That.
So if you like nature, she talks a lot about plants and flowers and drops little interesting facts. Like I didn't know that the term acre came from the amount of land that a farmer could plow with an oxen.
In a certain amount of time or something.
Yeah, I'd never heard that.
I vaguely remember that from a class I took in Canadian prairie literature or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, with all the settlers moving in and
Yeah.
Oh, very cool.
So what are you currently reading?
I am currently reading How to Marry a Millionaire Vampire by, interesting spelling of her name, Carolyn Sparks.
Oh, yeah.
Look at So I haven't seen that spelling before. So this is a romance that was recommended by
Sarah McLean.
I couldn't think of her first name.
Yeah.
I always want to say Julie. I wonder if I knew somebody named Julie McLean one time.
Well, all of her books that we have in the office are blurbed by Julia Quinn or Julie Quinn.
Funny.
So I wonder if you're associating.
Okay. Sarah McLean has on her website this really cool resource where she recommends romance novels that have been influential throughout the decades or that she's just really enjoyed and wants to share with people. And this one was on there, and I was looking for something completely fun and vampire-ish. This book arrived on Halloween. I ordered it because it is an older book. When did this one come out? Came out from Avon Books in 2005. So it's not one that local stores had. Mm-hmm. It is really just funny and irreverent, and the meet cute of the two characters. So the vampire, he is the head of this, international company that has developed a synthetic blood for vampires who don't want to kill humans anymore and get their food that way. And he breaks a tooth a fang, I should say. He breaks his fang one day when his scientists are coming in to show him a prototype of a human woman that will, well, it's a sex toy. Okay, it's a full-size sex toy woman, woman model, I guess you would say.
Mm-hmm.
And so when he goes to test it and bite the neck, he bites through the soft, plasticky synthetic skin, but then hits some hard plastic and breaks a fang. So like uber embarrassing, right? Like even if you're a vampire, that's kind of awkward. And so he's looking for an all-night dentist because, of course, this happens at night when vampires are awake. And so he finds an all-night dentist who is this woman who is actually, I don't want to say too much about her because part of the fun in the first couple chapters is just meeting everyone and the unwinding. But let's just say there's also the Russian mob might be involved, but the Russian vampires are definitely involved.
Ooh.
Yeah, so there's that you get kind of the vampire vibe, the romance vibe, and then the mobster vibe in a way. Clashing families or clashing gangs, so to say. So I'm enjoying it. I am about that far in right now. So this will be hopefully, if I have time, I'll be able to curl up and read it tonight.
And we should say Sarah McLean's going to be on our author spotlight on the episode that drops on this Tuesday.
Yes,
November
7th.
Yeah. And we'll put a link to that recommendation page in the text down below because there's
fun.
Great books listed there.
Yeah, for sure. So it's Nonfiction November. It's Nonfiction November. Did I say that awkward the first time?
No.
And we decided we'd choose 4 books apiece that we plan to read this month. And again, Emily, who's usually the upholder.
I know.
But you know what? Since day one, when I first kind of had to twist her arms and her legs to come up with a favorite top 10 list, she was just like, she looked at me like I was like, whacked out. She's like, no way, 10 books? I was like, come on, Emily, you can do it. So she's been very, very good over the years about trying to do that.
Well, but you just made my day because the one that I'm currently reading was one of the 4 I thought I had to choose. So now I have an extra to choose.
Okay. All right. Do you want to kick us off with?
Sure. I'll start with Women Rowing North by Mary Pfeiffer. This is a book I've wanted to read since it first came out in 2019, and I just lucked into getting a copy at our local Guilford library sale.
Oh, cool.
Probably last year. And the subtitle of it is Navigating Life's Currents and Flourishing as We Age. Mary Pfeiffer wrote the book Reviving Ophelia, which was about teenage girls. That was a long time ago. I remember reading it when I had a teenage girl who's now 32. So anyway, this is about aging, women aging, and basically what she says is we get better with age, we're happier is the main point that she makes. So I'm really looking forward to digging into it. I haven't checked about the audio. I wonder if she narrates, but I think I'm going to try to do a Chris move and read like a chapter a day in November.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I will share my first one that I did start on November 1st. And it is the Peabody Sisters. Oh, it's out of control. The Peabody Sisters by Megan Marshall. And this is one that it's been on my list. I have the hard copy at home that I purchased in 2005 when the book first came out. And I've dipped into it here and there. Yeah, 2005. And because there was a previous book about the Peabody Sisters published in the 1950s that was really of its time. This book is heavily researched. She spent 20 years researching it. And not only did she do like the archival research of the family records and, she read everything that the family wrote. She tried to read everything that they read.
Oh my.
As well, to really understand their insides, as well as what records they left and, external events that happened and things like that. So you really get a deep dive into these women and their time. So I started reading it. I'm on page 28 right now and really enjoying it. I'm at the point where she's giving the family background because the Palmers were very wealthy and influential in colonial America. And then during and after the Revolution, their wealth declined and they had a lot of legal and social problems because they were patriots and betrayals and things like that.
So you said the Palmers.
Yeah, so Elizabeth Palmer Peabody.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay.
So her mom also named Elizabeth. There are a lot of Elizabeths in this family, you know, Queen Elizabeth.
Mm-hmm.
So her mom was called Eliza, though. Okay. She was a Palmer. Okay. And then she married a Peabody.
Got it.
So, yeah. So, super looking forward to this. I'm reading it. I'm going to plan to read an hour every morning, as much as that's possible, and just enjoy it and not stress out about finishing it.
Good.
Oh, you know what? Oh my gosh. This is the best part. So the reason I have this wonderful paperback copy is because Emily got it for me, and she had Megan Marshall sign it. This was when Emily was moderating 2 panels at the Newburyport Book Festival, Literary Festival or Book Festival. I don't remember.
I don't know.
Newburyport. And,
yeah, Literary Festival, I think.
Okay. Yeah, so, and Megan signed it. And she says, to Chris and Sisterhood. So, thank you, Emily.
You're welcome. Enjoy it. All right. There's a lot going on in the world right now. And on episode 194, we started with a poem. And Ross Gay is a poet, but this is his book of essays called Inciting Joy. People might recognize his name. He had a book prior to this called The Book of Delights that was really popular, particularly over the course of the pandemic. I think this one came out towards the final stages of the pandemic. And it's really good. I started it the other morning with just the first essay, and it's not like, be filled with gratitude and joy. You know, that's not what he does with this at all. It's, you know, life is filled with its challenges, and he talks about that, and also talks about how we have to find areas of joy. Not have to, that sounded kind of harsh, that there are ways for us to find areas of joy, even through the zigs and the zags that our lives take. One of the essays, and maybe it was the first one, because I thought I just read the first one, maybe it was the second one, was actually over the course of the time that his dad was dying of cancer. And it was such a poignant essay. So again, you know, inciting joy even during a time where he's visiting his father's hospital bedside. So Ross Gay. And he is a poet that's out. He has a poetry collection and is also in those little poetry collections that you and I both enjoy that are edited by James Cruz.
Lovely. Those 2 are lovely little collections. Yeah.
Oh, and I should say thanks to Algonquin who sent us this advanced reader copy. It is out in the world now.
All right. Well, next up for me is one by Ruah Benjamin, Viral Justice, How We Grow the World That We Want. How We Grow the World We Want. Isn't that another beautiful cover?
Amazing.
So Ruah is a professor of African American Studies at Princeton. And this is not her first book. She's written several others. She deals with science and technology and racism, white supremacy, you know, and injustice in the world. This book is a bit of a memoir, talking about, you know, the small acts that we can take each day to help create the world that we want, you know, that we don't necessarily, you know, how do you create big change? You know, I think before the pandemic, one of the things I read about this was she was looking at big structural issues and how to create big change and everything. And during the pandemic, you know, like so many of us, she had a real mind shift and understanding shift of herself and the world, and is now really looking at, you know, what can we do each day, small things. So she's looking at her life. And so, like I said, it's a bit of a memoir. She's also talking about her brother who was incarcerated. And well, I'm not sure if he was incarcerated through the justice system, his experience through that. And her father's death, she talks about that as well. So I downloaded the audio version. Our library had it through Hoopla. And then I also have the hard copy on hold. I just got the notification that that was in. And so I'm really looking forward to this one for a lot of different reasons. When I first saw Viral Justice, and this won the Stowe Prize this year. So the Harriet Beecher Stowe Center here in Connecticut, they have an annual prize that they award to books that deal with social justice. And that's how this book first came to my attention. And Viral Justice, my assumption was it was online viral, you know?
Yeah.
So it's going to be a different read possibly for me because of that.
Yeah.
But I'm doing this as a buddy read with Britta over at the second shelf. Ooh, and there it goes. So looking forward to that.
Nice.
Oh, and she does narrate it.
She does. Okay. Yeah. I'm hoping to read The Professor and the Madman, A Tale of Murder, Insanity, and the Making of the Oxford English Dictionary by Simon Winchester. I just talked about reading The Dictionary of Lost Words by Pip Williams, which is a historical fiction based on the creation, the time when they were putting together the Oxford English Dictionary. And one of the things that they did was ask for volunteers to submit quotations, submit words, and then submit quotations and ways to define the word. And this is nonfiction. It's based on a true story of the gentleman, Murray, I believe was his name. Yeah, Professor James Murray, who led the creation of the Oxford English Dictionary, and Dr. W.C. Minor, who submitted more than 10,000 of these words. And it turns out that he did it all from an insane asylum. So I read the first few chapters. They were very engaging. And it's, and W.C. Minor hailed from New Haven, Connecticut, which I thought was interesting. But the book takes place in England. And it starts with Murray going to visit this doctor, not knowing that he's in an insane asylum.
Wow.
So.
Wow. So did they have a library in the insane asylum, or did friends and family mail him books or magazines to get the sources for these words? Or
I don't know.
Oh, that's so fascinating.
And I think maybe that's some of the question, right? Like, did he make it up? Like, who knows? So, yeah, really curious to read this. Yeah.
Because that's one of the cool things about the Oxford English Dictionary is that it has the first use of a word that they can track down. So that's always fun and interesting.
Yeah.
So I wonder what words he contributed.
Yeah, 10,000.
10,000 words.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that is. Wow.
Yeah.
I look forward to hearing about that one. I have a used copy of that on my shelves too, and it's been one I'd love to read. So I might read it vicariously through you.
Yes. Well, I took this off the Gentleman Caller's bookshelf this week when I was visiting him, and I was like, ooh, yes. That one is calling to me. Mm-hmm. And he has not read it. His mother gave it to him, because she loved it, which has been actually something lovely for me to know that his mom had this book in her hands.
Very cool. So I'm going to be reading this new biography of Willa Cather, Chasing Bright Medusas by Benjamin Taylor. This book is coming out later in November, I think November 14th. Mm-hmm. And Taylor is a professor of English, and as you can see, this is a pretty slim volume. It's not one of those, as I say, heavily researched cradle to grave type biographies. It's more his take on her writing and what it is meant to him. I attended an online event with him. They're going to have the book launch through the National Willa Cather Center. And we could put a link down below to that if you're interested in attending. So thank you to the publisher, Viking, is it? Mm-hmm. For sending us an advanced copy of this. Greatly appreciated.
Lovely. I love that picture of her.
Yeah. Okay, Emily. So her teetering stack here, she has to come down to making a decision.
One more. What do I choose? What do I choose? Oh, I think I'm going to go with this one. Entangled Life. How Fungi Make Our Worlds, Change Our Minds, and Shape Our Futures. I should say by Merlin Sheldrake. And we were told about this book by our listener, Katie, up in the Yukon. And we were heading out on a biblio adventure. And I can't remember if she had just talked about it.
I think she had just talked about it when we were in New Hampshire.
Yeah, so I bought a copy. Is it Toadstool Books? Yeah. And, put it on my shelf. As we do. And so I'm really looking forward to diving into this. I'm much interested in mushrooms, cooking with them, understanding them. They also totally freak me out.
Yeah.
So the Gentleman Caller just bought a book that's more of a guide to mushrooms, so you can take a picture, out on a hike and then come home and look it up. And, they showed this one that looked like a morel mushroom, which is one that, people cherish those. And when season comes, they go out and harvest and cook them, and they're really valuable. And then right on the page next to it was one that looked exactly the same that had like the skull and crossbones, and that's why they freak me out.
Yeah, because they can kill you.
Exactly.
And then grow all over your body.
Death by mushroom is not the way I want to go.
Yeah.
Or as Jim says, who is a bit of a survivalist, like, it's good to know what you can eat if you need to be out in the woods eating.
Indeed.
Which is true.
Yeah.
I probably would die quickly, but just from poison ivy. But that's a whole other thing.
Right, yeah. Oh my God. But so I don't even know this, like, what do they provide nutritionally? Do you know?
They're very protein rich.
Protein, okay.
Yeah, and also, I think what some people like about them is they also can be very meat-like. And so you can prepare them in ways that resemble meat. At least texturally. I don't know if you can ever make a mushroom really look like meat. You can make it into meatloaf or something, but
interesting.
Yeah. So I think for vegetarians and vegans, it's nice for that.
I just gagged a little with the thought of mushroom meatloaf. I gotta say that was a little too much for me to imagine. No, that's okay. No worries.
Yes, but the cover gives you some insight into how many different kinds there are. And our local grocery stores now are stocking them, which makes me feel a little bit more safe than, your neighbor bringing you a bag that they harvested on their last walk, No offense.
She didn't, I didn't do that. Just, in case she shows up dead with a mushroom in her mouth, it wasn't me.
Oh my.
All right. So my last book is a new book, hot off the press. This is Democracy Awakening by Heather Cox Richardson. And she is a historian. During the pandemic, during Black Lives Matter, I think that's when she started it. She started doing a newsletter, a daily newsletter, and then a daily Facebook Live event where she would look at contemporary events and put them in a historical context for people. And I didn't watch that very often, but I have to say every time I did, it made me feel better. It gave me some comfort and a little bit of hope for our country and the threats to democracy that are happening. So it says right here at the very beginning, in the midst of the impeachment crisis of 2019, Heather Cox Richardson launched a daily Facebook essay providing the historical background of the incessant torrent of news. It soon turned into a newsletter, and its readership ballooned to more than 2 million dedicated readers who rely on her plain-spoken take on the present and past in America. And what I like about her is that she often shows up wearing a ratty t-shirt and her baseball cap because she was just out kayaking.
Nice. Yeah.
So she is like a total, no-nonsense kind of New Englander, which I appreciate her vibe, to say that. There's a picture of her in her baseball cap, if you could see that. Yeah, so I just got this from the library. It's a new release, as you can see, so I don't know if I'll get it read in time, but
Yeah.
maybe I'll just put it on hold again if that
Yeah.
should happen.
And maybe get the audio too. See.
Yeah. Oh, I wonder if she reads the audio. That would
that'd
be interesting. Yeah.
I know that Aunt Ellen's partner, Chris, or as we call him, the other Chris around here, is a devotee of hers and reads the newsletter every day. So,
yeah, I signed up for it too, and I do
Yeah.
dip into it. I have
Yeah.
a special folder in my email box for that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh my
All right.
gosh. Should I swing him by? Woo! 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 There's so many, you guys. I wish I could read one a day, and then I'd be done with them in the end of Nonfiction November, although November is only 30 days.
Oh, gosh. And we're ready November 3rd, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. What are you reading? Tell us. Are you even nonfiction readers? We'd like to
Right.
know.
Yeah. I mean, I think when this challenge started, it was because, like, a lot of people do read novels and they wish they read more nonfiction. So I
Mhm.
think this is just a great way to find other people who are reading nonfiction, get turned on to different nonfiction, because I think, like so many things, if you don't like nonfiction, you probably just haven't found the genre, the subgenre yet that's for you.
Yeah.
So,
But we're going to help you because we have a giveaway for
Yes.
Nonfiction November. These are all authors and books that we have read. Quickly, Life B, Overcoming Double Depression by Beth Ann Patrick. This is her memoir. She was on episode 184. We talked to her in an author spotlight. And she's also the person on Twitter who started Friday Reads.
yes, she is the book maven, and she started Friday Reads, the hashtag.
Catherine May, who I just mentioned, because Soil is her book club pick for this year. This month, I'm sorry. Enchantment, A Waking Wonder in an Anxious Age. She was supposed to be on. We had a little kerfuffle, but we did talk about this book on episode 181. And then Real Life, The Journey from Isolation to Openness and Freedom, Sharon Salzberg. Wonderful podcast, The Meta Hour. She's been teaching people meditation tactics for years, and she was on episode 181. We are going to send all 3 of these books to a lucky newsletter subscriber on November 15th. Thank you, Vanna. So we will put instructions down below as to how to become a newsletter subscriber if you aren't yet.
Oh.
Happy
Happy
November.
Nonfiction November reading.
Yes. I can't lift all my books
No,
again.
you can't. You can't. Nope. All right.
Happy reading,
Happy
everybody.
reading.